Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the continent of South America, the major geographical regions of this continent, and the important and notable geographical features of this particular continent. But first, to give you the introduction about this particular continent, that is South America, overall it is considered as the fourth largest continent in the world in terms of area, and also it extends all the way from north to south, from the Gulf of Darien, which is in the northwestern region, to the archipelago of Tierra del Fuego, which is situated to the south. Now, South America has very extreme geographical variation, from high-rise mountains to plateaus to the driest regions such as deserts areas. You have Amazon rainforest. So, due to this extreme geographical variation that this continent have, there is a large number of biomes that will also found in this particular area. If we talk about biome, it generally refers to a very widespread area where you have a lot of different types of floras and faunas that are living together. So, in terms of unparalleled number of plant and animal species that South America has, its rich biodiversity is considered as very, very unique among all the world's continents. Now, if you want to divide the South America into different geographical divisions, geographers have classified into three different regions. First, what we can consider as mountains and the highlands area, that includes plateaus. Second, we have is the river basins. And third, what we can characterize is the coastal plains that has been carved by these river flowing to the eastern and western part of the continent. So, first of all, if we talk about the mountainous and highland regions of South America, the longest mountain range in the world actually exists in South America, that is situated on the western coast of South America from north to south, and this mountain is called as the Andes Mountain. Andes Mountain, incidentally, it has evolved due to the volcanic eruption, very similar to what we have discussed in North America in the terms of evolution of Rocky Mountains, Alaska ranges, and Cascade ranges. So basically here also what is happening is the Pacific plate is continuously subducting below the South American plate. Due to the subduction of Pacific plate, we have melting of the plates, and as these rocks melt, we have the production of magma, and this magma under high pressure and temperature rises, break through the crust of the South American continental plate, and then comes above on the surface, and then gradually has deposited a huge amount of magma, which later on, after solidification, cooling, deposition, have led to development of Cordillera type of mountains that we have discussed in last videos. The length of this mountain we can estimate from the fact that overall the range covered almost 8,850 kilometers distance on the western edge of the continent. There are hundreds of peaks which are more than 4,005 meters tall, many of which obviously are volcanic. However, if we talk about the tallest peak of the South America, which is also the tallest peak in the Andes, obviously, it stands at 6,962 meters, which is called as Mount Aconcagua. So, if you look at the range of the Andes Mountain on this particular map, we can see right from here, somewhere near the Ecuador, we have the range that begins, and then in the north from Ecuador, because Ecuador is near the equator, so both on the northern side of equator, this Andes Mountain stretches all the way up to Venezuela, and to the south of equator, it stretches all the way up to what we can call as the longitudinal country of Chile. So, we have, that is what we can call as the Andes Mountain, and here somewhere here in Chile, you have the Mount Aconcagua, that is the tallest peak of this particular range. If we try to understand the highland regions of this particular continent, it can be further classified into three different parts. The one plateau that is situated in the border region of Peru and Bolivia, that is called as Altiplano. Altiplano is situated somewhere at the altitude of 3,700 meters. Second is Brazilian highlands, obviously the plateau in the Brazil, which is the largest country area-wise in South America. And then we have the Guinea highlands in the Equatorial Guinea. If you try to understand the location of this highlands on the map, we can see this red area here that stretches all the way from Peru to Bolivia, obviously on the western coast of the South America. We can see the Altiplano plateau. However, on the other hand, the Brazilian highland is situated somewhere, we can say, in the eastern part, or slightly we can say in the central eastern part of the Brazil, and Guinea highland is situated more in the upper part, northwestern part of the continent. So these three make or characterizes the highland regions of this particular plateau. If we talk about this highland region and the plant kingdom that we find in this highland region, since because these areas are at very higher altitudes, it has very cold temperature, thus This area has huge area that is occupied by alpine biome. Now, obviously, alpine biome refers to such kind of plants which grow and survives in very cold condition, harsh and severe winter kind condition, and that is why the leaves of these plants are very stiff and strong to protect them from the frosty weather or the drought-like situation that exists in the summer. One of the most notable plant that you will find in South America in the highland areas are what we call as Pua Raimondi. Pua Raimondi is also very unique because it is considered as the largest herb in the world. If we talk about plants, it is basically classified into different types on the basis of their sizes. So herb is the smallest layer of plant or vegetation, followed by shrub, and then followed by we have dominant vegetation, and then we have the co-dominant vegetation. So the largest herb in the world is Pua Raimondi, whose picture you can clearly see in the map, in the image here. Now, if we talk about the third region of Brazil, second region of the South America, that is what we can call as river basins. Now, as far as the river basins are concerned, the entire South America has three major river basins. In the north, we have the Orinoco River. In the north and northeast, we have the Amazon River. And in the south, we have the Paraná River or Paraguay, which is basically Paraguay is a tributary of Paraná. So these are the three major river basins of the South American continent. So first of all, you talk about the largest river basin. Obviously, it is the Amazon River basin. Amazon River also is considered as the world's largest river in terms of volume, and it occupies an area of almost 7 million square kilometers, making it not only the largest river of the world, but also it forms what you can call as the largest watershed in the world. And in terms of the discharge volume, it is believed that every second Amazon River empties or discharges almost 209,000 cubic meters of water into the Atlantic Ocean in the eastern side of the South America. The Amazon basin itself, it covers a huge area which makes up the northern part of South America. It gets a lot of tributaries from the glaciers which originate from the Andes range, and thus it is considered as the life force of equally vast Amazonian rainforest. Amazonian rainforest has such a huge biodiversity that it is believed that even within a 1 square kilometer radius of the forest, you will find more than 100 different species of plants and different species of animals. And since the density of vegetation here is so huge, it is also considered as the, or called by many geographers as the lung of the planet, because it supplies huge volume of oxygen to the earth. And thus you can see from here Amazon River that's originating from this area. The exact origin you try to understand. This blue line that we are seeing from here, as you can see, Amazon River stretches all the way from the west to east of the South American continent, and we can see a lot of tributaries are there. Basically, a lot of small streams and rivers are there that are originating from this glaciated areas of the Andes mountain range, such as we have Ucayali River, Maranon River, Napo River, Urumbamba River, and all these rivers then join together somewhere near the Iquitos region. And then it forms the mighty Amazon, which traverses across the breadth or width of the South America, where it finally discharges its water through the Brazil. The second important river basin is what we have discussed, is what is called as the Orinoco River Basin. Now, Orinoco River Basin, as you can see, it is basically flowing in a kind of giant arc-like shape, and it has a distance of almost 2,736 kilometers. So obviously this river seems very small as compared to Amazon River, but to give you an idea, the Ganges River in India has a total length of 2,525 kilometers. So Orinoco River is almost 200 kilometers longer than the Ganga River of India. So basically it is originating in the highland regions. We have three different highland regions, the Altiplano region, then we have the Guinea Highlands, and then we have the Brazilian Highlands. So basically the Orinoco River originates from the Guinea Highlands of northern Brazil and then discharge the water in the Atlantic Ocean after forming huge delta in the state of, or we can say the nation of Venezuela. So this is overall we can say the course of the Orinoco River. And it also has a lot of tributaries such as Meta River, Guaviare River, and Apure River. Not only that, if you try to understand about the Orinoco River Basin, it also covers a very huge area of almost 948,000 square kilometers and encompasses almost 80% of Venezuela and 25% of Colombia. When this river is traversing through these areas, it also passes through what you can call as a type of savanna grassland, which is locally known by the name of llanos, which is the primary biome of the Orinoco River Basin. And this in the picture also you can see from here, this is the llanos grassland. Llanos grassland is basically made up of short grasses, and basically here, since because the river is passing through this grassland, it creates a wet kind of condition. Swamp grasses, sedges and bunch grasses are found mainly in the wet low-lying areas, while in the higher and drier regions you will find the carpet grass, which is the most dominant species of grasses here. So that is what we can call about the Llanos grassland. And because of these grasses that are available throughout the year, and due to the flow of water through this particular area, a lot of important river species including piranha, which is very dangerous fish, electric eel, and the Orinoco crocodiles, which can grow as tall as 6 meters, can also be found here. The third river basin is what we can call as the Paraguay or Parana river basin. Now this Paraguay or Parana river basin covers almost 2.8 million square kilometers of area, which is much of the southeastern part of Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, and what we can call as the northern Argentina. If we try to look at this particular diagram, you can see from here, this is our Parana river, and from the northern side we have the Paraguay river, and both this Parana and Paraguay river join together and then discharge their water in what we call as the Rio de la Plata. So Rio de la Plata is basically situated between Uruguay and Argentina, and basically the place where this river is discharging its water into the Atlantic Ocean, basically on both bank of the river we have two different capitals of two different countries that are facing together. For example, we can see from here the Buenos Aires, which is the capital of Argentina, is situated on this particular south bank, while the Montevideo, which is the capital of Uruguay, is situated on the northern bank of this particular river in this Rio de la Plata region. So that is the overall geographical location of this particular river. Apart from that, we talk about this particular river basin. It supplies water mainly to the plain regions of this particular land masses, and also we all have a temperate grassland through which water is passed, through which the water of this particular river passes through, and this temperate grassland is what we popularly call by the name of pampas. In the map of South America, as you can see from here, between Argentina and Uruguay, the green shaded region is what we can call as the pampas region, and this is actually the course of the Paraguay or Parana river. The pampas basically are temperate grasslands. They have very rich fertile soils and very predictable rainfall pattern because they are situated in the coastal regions. So they are also the most important grazing and cropland areas of the entire South American continent. And it is in the Pampas grassland you will find a lot of ranches also have been established here, where large number of different types of animals which can graze upon the grasses are kept, and then you have the dependent industries such as dairy industry, meat industry also has well developed in this particular region. The third and the last geographical region of South American continent is what we can call is the coastal plain region. Now coastal plain, similar to India, the coastal plain of South America can also be divided into two parts. One we can say is the western coastal plain, another what we can call as the eastern coastal plain. In short, if you want to define what is a coastal plain, it basically refers to an area of low-lying flat land which is situated closer to the coastal region, closer to the sea coast. So South American coastal plains are generally found on the northeastern coast of Brazil toward the Atlantic Ocean, and on the western side, the Pacific coast of Peru and Chile have a narrow development of the coastal regions. Now, the reason why we not have extensive development of the coastal plain in the Brazil is because the Brazilian highland act as a wedge, and thus most of the sea wind that brings rainfall to the Brazil are pushed away from the coastal land, and that is why this area do not become wet, do not become fertile in nature. So overall, the fertile regions of the Brazil, where we have the northeastern region of the Brazil, where we have the coastal plain, basically this area used to the plantation of the sugar cane. And also, since this is a port area, the port cities of Brazil are able or allow Brazil to export sugar to the rest of the world. Basically, it was the Africans who were brought in as slave laborers to work in the sugar plantation when Brazil was a colony of Spain in the earlier time. On the other hand, the drier regions of the plain, which does not receive water due to the presence of the Brazilian highland, that area is what we call as the Sertão. Sertão means basically it is the interior plain, and here obviously since the water deficiency is there, we have devastating droughts that happen many times, and when you have some years very significant rainfall that occurs, that causes devastating floods as well. And due to this extreme of weather events in this area, the poverty is very severe, and life expectancy due to the prevalence of diseases is also very low, which is somewhere in around 49 years. On the other hand, if you look at the western part of the coastal plain of South America, these coastal plains are also extremely dry in nature. Now, why these areas are extremely dry in nature? If we try to understand this from the map, what we can see from here, the yellow region on the map is what represents the western coastal plain. The brown region, what you see here, is just we have discussed, it is the long Andes mountain range. And here nearby this coastal plain, you have the flow of the current, which is called as the Peru current or Humboldt current, which is basically a type of cold current. So what we can say that the western coastal plain region of South America is bound from the west by the cold Peruvian current, and from the east it is bound by the tall mountain ranges that is called as Andes. And it is due to this region, since the current is very colder, what happens, the ocean current has a kind of desiccating effect, a drying effect on the winds. There is no condensation, there is no cloud formation, and this rainfall is also very less. And it is due to this region, in the plain region of the Chile, you will find the driest part of the world, which is basically Atacama Desert. Atacama Desert is so dry that nowhere in the desert you will find rainfall where it is higher than 1 millimeter per year. And in some parts of the Atacama Desert, they have not experienced rainfall for centuries, for the past few centuries. So that is how you can understand how dry this particular region is. Now we talk about some notable features of the South American continent itself. We have a city that is called as La Paz. Now La Paz is a capital of country that is called as Bolivia. And why La Paz is important? Because it is considered as the highest capital in the world. The altitude of La Paz is so high that people or tourists who go from there outside, they have actually to take 2-3 days. It takes them for 2-3 days to actually acclimatize to the climate. And that is the city view you can see from here. It is so high latitude, and in La Paz, from moving from one place to another place, you also have cable cars that has been installed, because otherwise it is very difficult to climb through the climb to the high altitude regions of this particular city. The second important or notable geographical feature that you should remember about is the waterfall. Waterfall is called as Angel Fall. Angel Fall is the highest waterfall in the world, situated in Venezuela, and it has a height of almost 700 meters. Actually, if you talk about this particular height that you are seeing from the picture, the water is actually falling from at the height of 700 meters. That make it the highest waterfall of the world. A third most important feature which you will find in South America is the remains or ruins of ancient civilization that is called as Machu Picchu, which is situated in Peru. And Machu Picchu also has been classified or considered as a in one of the 7 wonders of the world. Next is what we call as a Rainbow Mountain, which is also situated in Peru, and it is believed that mainly because of the factors of erosion, different types of rocks are there that have eroded, and also because of the mixing of water with different kind of minerals, the color of the mountain is not uniform. We can see you have numerous different colors, and that is why it is called as the Rainbow Mountain. So basically it is a combined effect of erosion as well as the dissolution of different types of mineral in the rainwater. The next important feature is what we call as the Salar de Uyuni. And Salar de Uyuni is basically a kind of salt flatland, very similar to what we can say see in the Kutch region of Gujarat. So such kind of huge large salt flatlands are there, and it makes very interesting kind of what we can say phenomena, where in the times of rainfall, when the upper part or the surface of this salt flatlands are covered with water, it acts like a very giant mirror that you can see from this particular image. And thus it is also called as by the nickname of the world's largest mirror, that is Salar de Uyuni, situated in the Bolivia region of the South America. Then next we have is what we can call as a place which is situated in Venezuela, that is called as Catacumbo. Now, Catacumbo is a region where it is observed or it is believed that maximum number of lightning happens per year, which is called as Catacumbo lightning phenomena. Basically, it is surrounded by hills from all the sides, and you have huge volume of river water that is flowing through this region that provides a very fertile ground, or what we can say a very conducive condition for the growth of thunderstorms. And as you can see, every 3 to 5 minutes you have one lightning phenomena, one lightning strike that occurs in this particular area, and this is something that is clearly visible from the picture as well. So this is what we can call as the Catatumbo lightning phenomena of Venezuela. So these are the notable features of South American land masses. We have discussed about different geographical regions of the South American continent. I hope you understood about the major areas of this continent. If you like the video, please hit the like button, Share it with fellow aspirant as well as subscribe to our channel for more such content. Thank you.